Hey, welcome to the Parenting Professor compound. It's spring. Spring is here, and spring ushers in a time of change. And I had a grandma bring a cool message to me yesterday or a couple of days ago. And are you losing track of time, by the way? I swore it was May. In fact, I commented on our band instructor a post. I'm like, why are you posting something that's due on the 29th? It's May 2nd, and I was wrong. and we just can make mistakes like that sometimes. And anyway, I had a grandma send me a message and said something like, I used to nag and remind my grandson to get his work done throughout the school day. And she went on and said, I actually finally watched one of your videos and listened, and it was the one talking about enforceable statements. And she said, it worked. It was kind of like magic. And I said, well, wouldn't that be cool if parenting was that easy all the time? And it's not, and we know that. But she said, I use an enforceable statement, and I'll just use his name, Corey, make up a name. Corey, Grandpa and I are going to go for, they have some land, a trailer ride in the woods at 5 o'clock tonight. And we let kids come with when all of their schoolwork is done. And then she said she had to cross her fingers and go to prayer and hope that things would change. And she said the hardest part was not nagging or reminding. And isn't that difficult to do? It's so difficult not to nag and remind. And now don't forget this and don't forget that. And, Dr. Charles Fay, he always says the saying, kids come to need as many reminders as we give them. And if you don't want to give nagging reminders constantly, say it once and then allow natural consequences to go to work. And that's what this grandma did. And Corey was on that day, and he decided not to do his homework right away, but gosh, he realized grandma's not worried about this. Maybe I better start worrying about this. And this grandma just bit her lip and didn't remind. And sure enough, he got all of his jobs done. And he was the first one outside ready to go on that trailer ride. And she said it's just really cool to realize the less effort I put in, and I put more. And this kid is, I don't really know. I'm guessing 6 or 7 or 8. And we put the focus on the child and say, hey, this is your job to do. And that's okay. Kids can do that. They're very capable of doing that. I call this, how do we make changes? And I like to advise parents. I like to just say, it's okay to sit down and apologize to your child. You ever apologize to a kid? They're kind of like, what? What's going on? And I call it like this parental reset. And, and it can happen. It's different with younger kids as older kids. But let's say you have a 10 or a 12-year-old, and you can just say something like, sweetie, I have to apologize to you. And that'll get their attention, I promise. And if you continue on, and you might say something like, I've been nagging you too much. I've been reminding you too much, and I've been worrying about things too much. And you know what? I just know that a kid like you can handle this, and you can do this schoolwork or whatever it is, just life in general. And I just want you to know, bud, I'm going to do my best to stop nagging and reminding. So things are just going to change a little bit, and it'll be okay. And we'll figure things out. Can you tell I'm outside? Bugs are coming out. And we'll do our best, but I want you to know that your success is your success, and your failures are your failures, and I'm going to be here to help, but I need to back off on nagging and reminding. And then I like to pat him on the shoulder or give him a hug and a kiss and say, good luck. If you need anything, let me know. And I just call that kind of a soft reset, just hitting that parenting reset button and just apologizing to a kid. And then the hardest part is following through on that language, following through on saying things one time and then going to prayer and allowing the kids to make mistakes and allow the consequences to do the teaching. And then we can swoop in as the adult, right? The loving, caring, empathetic mom and dad, and we can lock in that learning, right? Consequences do the teaching, empathy locks in the learning, and we know maybe next time we'll talk about, we'll well, I was raised with anger and frustration and lectures and warnings, and I turned out okay. And maybe next time we'll talk about really what happens when we do that. Gosh, tomorrow my agenda is a haircut and a shave. We've been gardening like crazy, and things are changing. And if you're at a spot in your parenting or teaching style that you're like, oh gosh, too much work, too much frustration, hit that soft reset button, apologize to your kids, say, hey, I need to stop nagging and reminding, and it's going to start this afternoon. Best of luck. If this was helpful to you, feel free to pass it on Facebook. I know the last couple of videos just gained a lot of traction, and that kind of makes me feel good that I can still, even though we haven't left the compound here in about 42 days, that I can reach out and still know that someone cares and is helping out. So appreciate it. Have a great, I don't know, what is it, Saturday? Have a great Saturday. Bye.